to Sasuke Uchiha, there's quite a bit of messed up things on this man's ledger when he walked the path of darkness. If we're being honest, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm a huge Sasuke fanboy, but even I gotta say that Sasuke got mad out of pocket. He deserted his village to join Orochimaru, a former Akatsuki member who killed two Kages. He then continued as a rogue ninja by forming an alliance with the Akatsuki, which led to him invading another country, attacking a cloud ninja, attempting to kidnap Killer Bee with the intention of having him sealed away and effectively murdering him as a byproduct of that. He then invaded a neutral country, killed dozens of samurai, attacked the 5 Kage, killed the acting Hokage who was approved by the Land of Fire's feudal lord, and started the war in the eyes of many ninja on the side of the Akatsuki. Not only that, but after Kage was defeated, he openly spoke of executing the then current 5 Kage and plotting treason. However, as we all know, Kakashi and Naruto would plead on behalf of Sasuke with the intention of clearing his name, and instead of execution or life in prison, the duo would get Sasuke a lifetime of probation, with the Hokage being personally responsible for him. First, that was Kakashi, and now it's currently Naruto. However, in the eyes of some, Kurostsuchi specifically, Sasuke hasn't paid quite enough of his dues yet. In fact, during the events of the Shikamaru Shinden novel, the Tsuchikage directly calls into question if Sasuke's probation status should be removed and makes him the central piece of her argument during the 5 Kage summit when she attacks Naruto. Predictably, pressing the Sasuke button on Naruto is sure to get a reaction, which is exactly what the Tsuchikage wanted, and it's exactly what Shikamaru feared. In today's edition of Shikamaru Shinden, Mourning Clouds, we're going to take a look at just why Kurostsuchi targeted Sasuke, what her reasoning was, and how it plays into the bigger picture of the Ninja Alliance. As previously stated, the information comes to us from the Naruto light novel Shikamaru Shinden Mourning Clouds, which is a Naruto light novel set in the Boruto era between the aftermath of the Momoshiki arc and spans just after the events of the Mujina Bandits arc, which I'll leave a link to down below for anyone who wants to buy the novel and help support the channel. Now, for context, Shikamaru intervened on Naruto's behalf as 2 of the Kages began to push Naruto into a political corner. It was a political game of shogi that Naruto was not prepared to play, and Shikamaru had to take over on behalf of Konoha in order to avoid things from spiraling out of control. As for what caused the rift between the Kages, is Konoha withholding information on the Otsutsuki and development of ninja tech, 2 things that violate the treaty between the 5 great nations. Naruto's in a bit of hot water here, but being the good aide that he is, Shikamaru steps in to navigate Naruto out of these turbulent waters, but just when all seems good, the Tsuchikage presses the Sasuke button on Naruto, and very predictably, Naruto loses his cool and begins to spill his ramen bowls all over the place. Now, with the scene finally being set, is here I'm gonna begin quoting. Sasuke was working behind the scenes on this whole Otsutsuki thing, right? Kurostsuchi asked. His crimes were so great that no one would have batted an eye if he'd have been locked up at Hozuki Castle for the rest of his life. And as his good friend, you would know that his escape during the 5 Kage summit was part of what led to the 4th Great Ninja War, Kurostsuchi said. Now you wait a minute! We dealt with this ages ago, Naruto said. When it came to Sasuke, Naruto couldn't keep his cool. Kurostsuchi was indeed correct in saying that Sasuke Uchiha was a major criminal and a trigger for the Great Ninja War. But that same war never would have ended without Sasuke. This monumental achievement balanced out his crime of desertion, and in the end, he'd been given probation, which is where the 5 Kage at the time the discussion on this topic had ultimately ended. Naruto was perfectly correct in noting that now. Even so, Kurostsuchi pursued it tenaciously. Konoha still keeps a man who tried to destroy the entire world, and not only that, you allow him to wander the continent, reporting on countries. A spy like that, Kurostsuchi started before Shikamaru cut her off. One more quick word, Shikamaru raised a hand, and then without waiting for permission from the other Kage, he began speaking. Reconnaissance is a requisite for a ninja. Again, this isn't just about Konoha. All the villages regularly visit the other villages in secret. We don't reproach one another for that, and if anyone's discovered doing this sort of work, We don't call for the death penalty. The ninja who's arrested is made to return any information obtained and then promptly released. That's one of the principles of this alliance. That's why it works. The other villages agreed that Naruto would take responsibility for Sasuke, even if, as the Tsuchikage is implying, Konoha were using Sasuke to maneuver in the other countries with this intention of using scientific ninja tools to carry out an invasion at some point. Would this all go according to Konoha's plan? The answer is no. None of the villages on the continent would forgive Konoha for scrapping the sacred alliance our predecessors worked so hard to build. No matter how strong Konoha might be, we couldn't win against all the other nations and all the smaller nations banding together. It's a deterrent against anyone running off on their own. Isn't that the point of this alliance that we currently have? Shikamaru asked. Eyes closed, Darui nodded several times. Gaara was also silent, his arms folded. Chojuro lowered his gaze, brow furrowed, and looked away from Shikamaru, while Kurostsuchi glared at him and gritted her teeth. You will not deceive me with these fancy speeches. She pushed each word out behind her clenched teeth. We should be nearing the end of this uproar soon, Shikamaru thought. Shikamaru stared at Kurostsuchi and waited. Her pale, slender arms beat at the table. She raised her hand and turned her index finger towards Naruto. Konoha has too many secrets. Because you're a powerful country, you're going to have to show some good faith here at least if you intend to work in harmony with the rest of us. To back up your promise to never let these sorts of things happen again, I demand the full disclosure of all of Konoha's classified information, Kurostsuchi demanded. Naruto stiffened at a loss of words. Shikamaru crossed his arms and leaned back against the wall. Disclosure of all classified information. Did she intend to strip Konoha naked? Shikamaru thought to himself. If this demand is not met, I cannot say that the Stone Village will not withdraw from the alliance. I'd like some time to think about this too. Chojuro followed after Kurostsuchi. We'll hear your answer at the next meeting. Kurostsuchi shot a glance at Shikamaru before she and Chojuro left the room. Hey! Hang on a minute, Naruto said lifelessly, rising up out of his seat. What a drag. Shikamaru grumbled, still leaning against the wall. End quote. So what should really stand out here is that Naruto had his wits about him when it came to Sasuke. Just as Kakashi before him, Sasuke's probation was directly on Naruto's shoulders, and the other Kages agreed to extend that right to Naruto. If Sasuke ever went off the rails, Naruto would be at the one that would have to make the call to have Sasuke killed off. At this point, if Sasuke were truly evil, Naruto would be the only one who could actually stop him. And it's for that reason that Naruto doesn't stand for Sasuke being dragged through the mud. The decision not to alert the other Kages about the scroll that Sasuke found, that was solely on Naruto. Sasuke had nothing to do with that. That was part of the reason that Naruto apologized to the other Kage. He knew that he had messed up. He knew he violated the treaty. However, what I find interesting here is that we learn more about Sasuke's travels. He's been passing through all the countries of the 5 great nations looking for clues on the Otsutsuki before going into the various Otsutsuki pocket dimensions. On top of that, Shikamaru points out that to an extent, all the ninja villages keep tabs on one another to an extent, but they don't lash out in the way that the Tsuchikage is currently doing. There is an open line of communication. However, Shikamaru downplays Konoha's strength by saying if they wanted to start a war, they couldn't wipe out all the other nations that they banded against them and all the smaller nations that they banded against Konoha, but instead points out that ninja tech wouldn't be a way to do so and that Sasuke isn't going through their villages for anything other than the mission to find out more about the Otsutsuki clan and help the other villages prepare in case of an Otsutsuki clan invasion. This would make some more sense as to why during the time slip arc that Sasuke was in the Sand Village looking for Urashiki. Sasuke comes and goes inside the ninja villages as his mission requires, and it's on good faith that if he steps out of line that Naruto will be the one that takes care of it. The only requirement is that Sasuke alert the Kage of the village of his intent and there's no foul. And to Sasuke's credit, Sasuke's always done so. What I also like here is that in this political game, we see how quickly Shikamaru realizes that something else is up. But he can't quite put his finger on it. In theory, he checkmated the Mizukage and Tsuchikage, Yet, long after he blew up their cases for concern, they demanded that Konoha give up all of their intelligence outside of the ninja treaty, which raises a huge red flag. Konoha, while having made its fair share of missteps under Naruto as Hokage, has mostly been in compliance with the Shinobi Treaty. This was Shikamaru's first sign that he knows that there's something else afoot here that's causing the two Kages to turn their back on Konoha in this manner, and most importantly, hidden inside of his words is a threat to send ninja to scout the villages for intel, as shown when he says sending spies to other villages goes on regardless whether or not it's a time of peace or not, and no one does so with the intent of war, but more so for the reason of making sure they're all in compliance. Essentially, Shikamaru stepped in to put the political gauntlet down and save Naruto from his own naive nature. However, that's going to be it for today's installment of Shikamaru Shinden. My question for you guys is, do you think that Sasuke got off too easy, or was Shikamaru right? Was Sasuke's help in ending the war enough to balance out the wrong that he did before the war, as well as after defeating Kage when he talked to executing the Kages? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.